Hey, good afternoon. Greetings. Thanks for coming along. The Friday edition of the Ride Home. The sun is slowly setting. And what today? Hey, Kath.
Is that a general statement on
general? It's where we are right
Okay.
now. I mean, the 21st, right, is the shortest day of the year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and today's the 17th, so we're super
Here
close.
we are, very close, and then we head back upwards. I was coming
Everything is optimism from the 22nd on.
Yeah, you're right about that.
It is. It's just I see like this whole vista opening up in front of us at that point.
Fabulous. I'll take that. Okay, good. Oh, and it's a Friday show. Oh, sorry. What time is it?
It's time for me to tell you, John.
Tell me what.
Your weekend has begun.
Yes. 5 minutes past the 4 o'clock hour. Woo! On a Friday afternoon. And it's a Friday afternoon before the longest protracted holiday of the year. So next week, a lot of people are just going to take off. And they'll be gone until
and some
January.
people who are working aren't really trying.
Well, I'm not going to throw people under the bus.
No, you know it's true.
No. What, you just going to hang out for 8 hours?
I'm not saying we are. We're going to have terrific. I have a couple things I'm really looking forward to next week.
Excellent.
In the pre-Christmas programs.
Big content. Are you making cookies? You going to bring some in? That's a fair question.
You guys.
What?
I mean, it just seems like a lot of pressure that you've put on me.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I mean, you can bring donuts for what I care.
I'm high visibility today. Did you see?
Yeah, you look like a crayon. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Or like a highlighter. It's more like a highlighter than a crayon,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, right.
The Ride Home is streaming live on YouTube at the word Pittsburgh. If you'd like to see my silly shirt.
Do my hair.
Are you working on your hair?
Yeah, it's very little.
Okay.
It's fine, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to the news.
It's a ponytail edition today. It was also Friday, and I thought, I think I'll do that. Did you consider the same thing?
No, I did not. No. I mean, it's one of those things. You have no control over your hair for the most part. It is either there
What do you
or
mean you have no control over your hair for the most part?
What are you going to do? There it is. Some days you just, I don't know.
That's a man thing.
What?
Yeah.
You don't.
Women spend hours trying to doing things to their hair.
Look at
and
my
men
head.
are like, yeah, whatever.
Look at my head.
You know what? I mean, my husband shaves his head every other day.
Yeah, I
so,
see that.
It's not like you're on your own there.
I mean, I've thought about it.
Shaving your head?
Yeah, that's not enough for me.
No, I mean.
So. And now, meanwhile, I'm just doing like the comb back, which is even worse. But what are you going to do? So that's what I'm saying. I have no. You're
talking to Christy and I. It's not like we're hair care professionals.
I don't need a hair care
Remember
professional.
when my hair care professional joined us on the air during COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Christy, listen to this. Of course, no one could get their hair cut if you remember at the beginning of COVID.
Forever.
And my hair.
Oh, it was wild.
Was out of control. It was completely out of control. So we had my hairdresser on the air to discuss, like she gave us tips on Zoom, like what I could possibly do with what was currly going on.
Did you cut your hair?
Well, I had to because it was just it was so
out
ridiculous.
Of control.
But I like did just a little bit, and then I was like, I can't. And then I just backed out, and I just decided I was going to live with it.
Right. I've got a guy friend, who has not cut his hair. It's like the super mullet. It's a little bit much.
That's not a good
It's
look.
a bit much.
That's
anyway.
really not a good
Did you cut your hair, Christy, over the pandemic?
Not myself, no. I'm not that brave.
Someone came in and cut it for you. You had connections.
I mean, not connections, but like once we got a little further into the pandemic.
Like Kath.
Well, you know what? It's always a dead giveaway. When my hair starts to look like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, that's when I know I need it to be cut. It's always dead giveaway.
See, I don't really notice a whole lot, to be honest.
You don't notice what my hair looks like when it needs to be cut?
No, it's just long.
All right.
And I just see it as long. And I see
Fine.
mine is kind of short. And that's it. That's all it is.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a hair update for the ride home. Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. Right.
We do have some other things.
Right, we do. Kath, please, it's been a busy news day. Give us the top 4 at 4.
Yes, indeed. Reading from my iPad today. Usually I have like the hard copy, but I didn't get it into Christy in time. So.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
Go for it.
Like he says you'll be fine. Kind of like, pie is easy.
I'm going to sit here and listen. It's your news, not mine.
And I'm the one who's going to be bringing the cookies too.
Thank you.
For Friday, December 17th, 2021, number 1. In a surprising about face, John, the mayor of San Francisco has declared a state of emergency in one of the most crime-ridden and drug-infested parts of the city.
What?
The Tenderloin neighborhood, just steps from City Hall, has been ground zero for drug dealing, overdose deaths, and homelessness for years. In what the New York Times is calling a highly unusual move by a liberal mayor in one of the country's most liberal cities, Mayor London Breed says she will pursue, quote, an aggressive crackdown on the nasty streets of her city. Yeah, that's what she said.
Thank goodness.
We are in a crisis, quote, and we need to respond accordingly. Too many people are dying in the city. Too many people are sprawled on our streets.
Good. That's really good.
Twice as many people died of drug overdoses in San Francisco last year than from COVID.
No kidding.
Twice as many. The announcement is part of a series of initiatives intended to disrupt street sales of stolen goods, which I think would be a good thing, right? Ready for this next one? Expand police surveillance powers and give people who use drugs in the open a choice between treatment or jail.
Good.
Number 2. The nation's top public health official recommended today that people seeking the safest and most effective COVID vaccine and booster go with the Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna shots instead of J&J.
Okay.
Rochelle Walensky, director of the CDC, endorsed the policy several hours after the unanimous vote from the agency's vaccine advisory panel, which cited concerns over the increased risk of a potentially fatal blood clot issue associated with the J&J shots. Now, of course, this is a blow to Johnson & Johnson, whose single-dose vaccine requiring no special storage was held out as a one-and-done solution that promised to make it extremely popular. That's from the Washington Post. Number 3. This is an amazing story. Crews working to remove the pedestal where a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee towered over Richmond for more than a century believe they found a time capsule that was buried there in 1887. This huge equestrian statue of Robert E. Lee, which was erected in 1890, was taken down in September, more than a year after Governor Ralph Northam ordered its removal after protests, of course, over racism and police brutality erupted across the country, including in Richmond. The day after the statue was removed, work crews spent about 12 hours searching for the time capsule in the 40-foot tall pedestal, but were unable to locate it. But today, Governor Northam announced the crews found the top of a square box embedded in a 2,000-pound granite block. It was 6 meters off the ground, and it was tucked inside or under the cornerstone of the pedestal. It looks like a time capsule, said his chief of staff. We're hoping it hasn't been damaged by water over the last 100-plus years. A newspaper article from 1887 suggests the capsule contains Civil War memorabilia and a picture of Lincoln lying in his coffin.
What?
Although historians believe it's doubtful the picture is an actual photograph, which would be extremely rare and valuable. Isn't that fabulous? That's from ABC News.
Super cool.
And number 4. Washington County-based developer is moving ahead here in Pittsburgh with plans for a proposed $475 million project that'll bring, get ready for it, a massive Ferris wheel, a splash park, a marina, an ice skating rink, and housing to Pittsburgh's Chateau neighborhood.
Chateau? Where's Chateau?
Chateau. It's along the Allegheny River, and it's an area of the north side that's kind of somewhere close to Manchester.
It's by the Rivers Casino, isn't it?
I think it's on the other side of the West End Bridge.
Okay.
From the Rivers Casino. I think you got, if you're going from the West End over to the north side, you've got the casino on your right. I think this is the area on the left.
So it's just made up, though? Chateau?
No, that's what it's called.
Called Chateau. I never even heard of it.
I'll give you some details, but that is your top 4 at 4.
Very nice.
You've never heard of Chateau?
I never have. You?
Okay, listen. Let me give you some details.
Chateau.
City's URA approved selling a 5.5-acre property to Millcraft Investments for only $1.5 million. It's not much. The project has been in the works for several years, and it will also transform from a beach in the summer to an ice skating rink in the winter. But the lagoon that they talked about, that's apparently been nixed.
I'll believe all this when I see it.
Look,
that sounds like
just
pie in the
approved.
sky.
I'm telling. This is from the Trib today. It says moving ahead with plans.
Okay. Well, hey, God bless them. I hope it happens.
You don't think it's going to happen? What about the Ferris wheel? You seem like you're like Debbie Downer about it.
I'm not. I'm just dubious of all government initiatives, especially ones that involve around entertainment, amusement parks, and frivolity. Andy Masek is back with us. Andy's the president and the CEO of the Senator John Heinz History Center in association with the Smithsonian Institute. And Andy, Merry Christmas. Welcome back.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
Hey, Andy, before we start talking about some things at the museum, really fun things that are coming up, I just want to ask you about time capsules. There was a story I read about, I don't know if you heard about this, they tore down the Robert E. Lee Confederate statue in Richmond, Virginia, and they found what they think is a time capsule from 1887 inside.
Yeah, it was a common practice both when new buildings were being constructed. The cornerstones often had a time capsule in it, and sometimes with statues or memorials, either a bronze box or tin box or concrete container of some type would contain newspaper articles and photographs and mementos from the time period. So people would be remembered to future generations.
Right. Now, the problem is, and of course we've all seen this, is that well-meaning people 100 years or so ago, even, whatever, the time capsule is unearthed, and then it's generally a gelatinous blob because, of course, the boxes are not waterproof, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes they are waterproof, though. The best are glass cylinders that are found inside the time capsule that get sealed with wax. And sometimes they solder together the seams of, say, bronze boxes. And in those cases, even fragile photographs can be preserved 100 or more years. It's when there's water infiltration that causes the problem and turns things into gelatinous masses.
Right. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but any idea? I mean, have you seen or heard of any time capsules in and around Western Pennsylvania?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, we have some at the Heinz History Center,
really?
Including one that was opened not too long ago from John Brashear's laboratory.
Really?
Brashear was one of the founders of the Allegheny Observatory, and he was famous for grinding lenses for telescopes. Well, in the cornerstone of his building, which collapsed on its own a few years back, there was a bronze box with lead soldered seams, and inside are some of the rarest photographs of Recreation Park and Exposition Park on the north side. There were mementos and cards and even some of the early lenses that he
Really?
ground in his workshop. So sometimes time capsules can be real treasures. And in other cases, it's business cards and newspapers from the day of the placement of the time capsule. So it's hit or miss, but sometimes there are real treasures in there.
That's so cool.
And is that the case, Andy? Did you say in a lot of statues? I mean, I know that sometimes that those are found in buildings, but so if we tear down statues, are we going to find a time capsule in every one of them?
I bet there's a good chance that there are time capsules in many or even most of the monuments that were put up in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Mm-hmm. It really was a common practice because a lot of people put a lot of work into raising the money and designing and installing those statues. So they kind of felt like this is an important occasion. It ought to be commemorated in some way, and leaving a piece of themselves in that monument was one of the ways that they would do it.
Fabulous. Andy Masek is with us, the president of the Senator John Heinz History Center. Andy, last week we had a guest on, and of course, we're Christian Talk, and we were talking about the Immaculate Conception. And I, as I'm always often want to do, screw up on air. And I said, of course, please tell us about the Immaculate Reception. And our guest was totally flummoxed, the poor thing.
And she's from South Carolina. She didn't know a thing about it. Couldn't care less about sports.
Right. She had no idea. And, I kind of...
John, that is such a Pittsburgh thing. It's like, Pittsburghers always put an H on Bergs. You know, they write a card from Gettysburg or something,
Right.
and they'll put an H on Gettysburg. Well, the other thing we do is we always turn the Immaculate Conception into the Immaculate Reception.
Sure.
Because we grew up with it, and it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
But it was Myron Cope, the sportscaster, who first used that term on the air in 1972 on December 23rd, when Franco Harris made that amazing, that miraculous, some people say,
Yes.
catch that turned the Pittsburgh Steelers from the lovable losers after 4 decades of losing into one of the winningest sports franchises in history by making that shoestring catch and reversing the fortunes of the Steelers and getting them into the playoffs in 1972.
Well, we could use another one of those now,
No
right? 49
kidding.
years after the fact. Now, the weird thing is, Andy, a couple of years ago, Kath and I parked our car on the north side, and we were, just randomly, we're at a parking spot, and there was, X marks the spot. There's a plaque there that says, this is the spot where Franco caught the ball, which was the Immaculate Reception.
I remember the day we put up that marker. It took a lot of work and some GPS calculating to figure out where the spot was in the parking lot between PNC Park and Heinz Field. That was, in 1972, Three Rivers Stadium, and the exact spot where the Immaculate Reception was made. And here, to take that to another level, at the Heinz History Center in our Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum, we have the actual turf. It's about a 10-yard by 10-yard fragment of AstroTurf that was on the field that day. And Franco, a couple of years after the Immaculate Reception, they were replacing the turf at Heinz Field. And Dirk DiNardo, the groundskeeper at Three River Stadium, was pulling up the turf. Franco came running out on the field and said, "Wait a minute, guys! Wait, you got to save that piece right there." And he pointed to the place where they should cut it out.
Fabulous.
They whacked it out and rolled it up. And Franco himself took it to his car and had to kind of fold it. You know how hard it is folding a carpet? Well, he folded it up and mashed it into the trunk of his car, had to tie it with string because he couldn't close it. He took it home, shoved it under the porch of his house, and it stayed there for more than 30 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Until we built the Heinz History Center's Sports Museum, and then Franco told me, "Hey, I have the actual turf." And I said, "What?"
Oh, that's so cool.
And so we went out. There were wasp nests in the turf now, and our curators had to, batter their way in to pull this turf out. But now it's on exhibit in the Sports Museum, along with the cleats that Franco wore that day on the field.
Oh, that's fabulous.
That is so great.
So the Immaculate Reception and also the turf and the cleats are kind of like a holy relic.
They really are in a strange sort of way. And the other thing that Pittsburghers are drawn to is the lifelike figure of Franco that we created, actually making that shoestring catch. And we made 2 of them. One of them is placed out at the airport. And everybody who goes through that airport goes past the Franco making an Immaculate Reception, standing next to George Washington. By the way, they were both 21 years old when they made history in Pittsburgh. They were both 63 inches tall, too. And so we kind of like the pairing of those two.
Wow.
And the other figure we have at the Sports Museum at the Heinz History Center, but what people don't know is we had to actually put wet plaster on Franco's face to make those models. And then you pull the plaster off, and then you pour a positive.
Yeah.
When we pulled the plaster off Franco said, "Is this going to hurt, Andy?" And I said, "Don't worry, Franco," through the straws that were shoved up his nose, and I had to, shout into his. And we pulled the mold off, and it pulled out many of his beard hairs with it. They got stuck in the plaster.
Oh, my gosh.
And Franco said, "Andy, I thought you said this wasn't going to hurt." And I said, "Oh, come on, tough it out, Franco." And then when we poured the positive, those hairs got embedded in the positive version. So when you look at that figure, just know there's Franco DNA in the beard hairs at the airport figure.
That is really
That's a great story.
You think that Franco DNA could help the current team in some way?
Something really.
Some kind of like
replicate.
infusion?
I think we need to do a little bit more work on cloning, but then, there's going to be a time.
All right.
Fabulous. Andy, we got just a minute or so left, but listen, as Christmas is upon us next week, the History Center, you're still going to be there, and people are welcome to visit during the Christmas holiday.
Hey, here's the great thing, John. Thanks to Howard Hanna Real Estate, kids are free all the way through the month of December.
Thanks.
So you can bring the kids down, won't cost anything. And tomorrow, Santa Claus is going to be there at the History Center. Yep. He's the real guy. This is going to be his last appearance before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's got to get back to the North Pole.
Sure.
He is a busy guy. But tomorrow, all day at the History Center in a very merry Pittsburgh, that's our Christmas exhibit, you can meet Santa.
Fabulous. Andy, it's always a great pleasure to have you.
We've appreciated you the whole year.
Sure do. And you always surprise us, and you bring astonishment to us, and it's all there at the Senator Johns Heinz History Center. So thanks as always.
Well, I love talking to you guys and your listeners. Have the very merriest Christmas.
You too,
ever.
Andy. You and your family.
Fabulous.
Tell them we said hi.
There's Andy Masick, Senator Johns Heinz History Center. Hey, do yourself a favor. Get on down to the History Center. You'll have a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Coming up next, this or that.
Time now for This or That. It's our weekly dive into ridiculousness. It's pretty self-explanatory. Kath has a list. I've got a list. We go back and forth. This thing or that thing. Kath, give or receive? All right.
I choose to receive.
All right, here we go. Mine is sort of a Christmassy, wintry
Is it?
this or that.
Oh,
Mhm.
there's a theme today,
All right.
Christy. Are you excited about it?
Super excited.
Very nice. Have mittens for hands. Have skis for feet.
I'm good with mittens. I'll go mittens.
All right. Watch It's a Wonderful Life for 24 hours. Watch the movie Elf for 24 hours.
Thank you.
yeah, okay. Not celebrating your birthday. Not celebrating Christmas.
Oh, I'll give up my birthday.
Christmas tree tinsel for hair. Fingernails that light up like Christmas lights.
I can't stand that. I think I'll go. What was the first option?
Christmas tree tinsel for hair.
Well, how am I supposed to pick between this?
This or that.
Okay, I'll go with the fingernail thing
All
that
right.
I said I didn't want.
A bowl of cereal with eggnog instead of milk.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Or eating a candy cane hoagie.
I'm picking the candy cane hoagie, John, which is really terrible.
Your job is wrapping presents at the mall.
Yeah.
Or your job is taking pictures of kids sitting in Santa's lap.
I'll go with the kids in Santa's lap. That's like a disaster,
All
right?
Have your house remodeled like a giant gingerbread house.
Yeah.
Or eat fruitcake for breakfast every day for a year.
I'm a little sensitive on the remodeling, reconstruction thing. I'm going to go with the fruitcake.
All right. Wear a green elf suit to church.
Okay.
Dress in a Santa suit on the 4th of July.
My church friends are understanding. I'll go with that.
The elf.
Yeah, I feel it's green. It's not a good color.
Snowed in with your entire extended family during the Christmas holiday.
Ooh.
A beach vacation with just you, your husbands, and kids.
Yeah, I'll probably go with the husband and kids at the beach.
All right. Sing Christmas carols solo on the Mount Washington Overlook. Play the kazoo Christmas carols up and down inside the incline.
I'd like you to do I have to do it?
Is this your this or that?
Okay, I'll sing at the Overlook because no one's going to hear me.
All right. A bonfire of s'mores. Hot chocolate or a Christmas movie.
Hot chocolate Christmas movie. I don't like s'mores.
Play in the Super Bowl. Perform in the Nutcracker.
Me personally?
This or that.
Well, I guess I have to pick Nutcracker because I'm not going in the Super Bowl.
A partridge in a pear tree. 2 turtle doves.
I'll go with the partridge.
9 ladies dancing. 10 lords leaping.
I like the leaping.
Be Mrs. Claus. Be the head elf at Santa's workshop.
I like Mrs. Claus. She's a comforting presence.
Be a melting snowman. Be a munched-on gingerbread man.
Melting snowman, John.
All right, that's my this or that. It's run the gamut.
All right, I got another one for you.
All right,
it's
go.
it's the Oh My Gosh, Christmas Eve is a Week from Today edition of This or That.
There we go.
Number 1. Kissing under the mistletoe, John?
Yeah.
Or singing around the Yule log?
I'll kiss under the mistletoe.
Will you?
Yeah.
Number 2. Presents piled under the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Or a train and a little Christmas village under the Christmas tree.
Presents.
Really?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so selfish. Number 3.
Thank you.
The Christmas market at PPG Place. Or driving around to look at the lights at Hartwood Acres.
Driving around to look at the lights.
Really?
Harwood Acres, yeah.
Number 4. Fraser fir or white pine?
Fraser fir.
Because that's like the Cadillac. Number 5. The holly and the ivy, or I wonder as I wander out under the sky.
The holly and the ivy.
Great song. Number 6. Running through the snowflakes, John, to realize it really is a wonderful life. Or singing Snow, Snow, Snow with 3 good friends on an overnight train to Vermont.
Running through the snowflakes to realize it is a wonderful life.
It's hard to believe. Number 7. I'll Be Home for Christmas by Bing Crosby, or Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire by Nat King Cole.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Number 8. Andy Masick as the always hardworking Santa Claus,
Just with us.
or Joe Biden as Hermie the little elf who wanted to go to dental school in Rudolph.
Andy Masick. Andy Masick was just our guest.
Number 9.
Yep.
Paying $100, John, which is 30% more than ever before for a real Christmas tree, or finally giving in and buying an artificial tree, lighting an evergreen candle, and calling it even.
I got to do family tradition.
For
I'm gonna go-
$100?
I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm going out. I'm going to go out. It's either that or cut my neighbor's tree down.
Is it a white pine or a Fraser fir?
It's a Fraser fir, and it's very pretty, and it might fit in my room.
Perfect.
Watch out at 3 a.m.
Here's the last one. Number 10. Ben Roethlisberger as Elf, or Tom Wolfe as the Grinch Who Stole Christmas?
Oh, please. No, Ben. As Ben exits, I love to see him dressed up as Elf.
I think he'd look terrific.
Do a fine job, I'm sure, as well.
Okay.
All right,
This
that's
or
our
that.
this or that. What's coming up next? Oh yeah, this is. We're going to talk about Haitian ministry, and they've been released. That's straight ahead. Back in October, missionaries working and living in Haiti were kidnapped. And when the news first broke, you thought, oh, my goodness gracious, and what's going to happen? Peter Smith, who joins us as the religion reporter for Associated Press, has been following this story very closely. There is good news, Peter. In the end, all is well, yes? Welcome back.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, I think all of us are better knowing that the 17 missionaries have all been released in Haiti. But there's some, at least I'm experiencing some confusion, or maybe it's just that there hasn't been a lot of news released on it, Peter. But how did it happen? How did the release occur?
They have not said, and by they, I mean Aid Ministries, which is the missions sending agency based in Berlin, Ohio, U.S. government, which has been involved in this case and has not said. The Haitian police have not said. So we continue to ask, but we've not gotten an answer yet.
Right. But the good news is, right, back in October, things looked pretty dire. Peter, can you tell us just the specifics of who the kidnappers were or presumed to be and what's happened in the interim?
The excuse me, the kidnappers were a gang in Haiti, which has had a real, as we know, a real erosion of security, particularly in recent months. But there have been numerous other kidnappings for ransom, and this particular group kidnapped them off on their way back from a visit to an orphanage. There were 17 of them, 12 adults and 5 children from various states and Canada. And the group demanded a huge ransom, $1 million per person. It was never completely confirmed if they were putting $1 million price on the children as well. But either way, it was an astronomical amount. We don't know to this moment, no one has said publicly, was a ransom paid? Was there any, any type of rescue effort? So there is much that still has not been said. Even as we speak, and I'm a little distracted because I just had to file another story. Christian Aid Ministries issued a statement just within the hour or so. So I've been writing that up. And so I may be fielding questions from editors or
Sure.
Follow-up calls from Christian Aid Ministries. But there, you get only, there's a lot in there, but there's still, like, for example, in its statement, Christian Aid Ministries thanked the U.S. government for its help and for respecting its desire for a nonviolent response. Christian Ministries is an Anabaptist group, which is, among other things, pacifist. So what that means in the specifics, we don't know.
Right.
Okay. Peter Smith is with us from the Associated Press. Peter, we know you have limited time, so let me ask you this. Is there anything about the story that you find particularly remarkable? I mean, the number one thing, let me say again, is just how grateful we are that they've been released. But from your investigation from the beginning until now, what do you think we need to know, or what are you still wondering about?
I think it's remarkable that they emerged safe, and according to the statement this afternoon from Christian Aid Ministries, that everyone seems to be in reasonably good condition.
Interesting.
And
Good.
These were adults all the way down to an infant. So I think that's the most remarkable thing. They were held, we have to assume that they were in, difficult conditions. We don't know the details of their conditions, but the fact that everyone has not only emerged unharmed, but also in decent health is, and again, we have not seen the hostages directly. They've asked us to respect their privacy. They need time to recover from this ordeal, of course. But so a lot of what we're going on is from Christian Aid Ministries themselves, but the reports are encouraging and I would say remarkable.
Very good. Well, Peter, thanks an awful lot.
Yeah.
We know that you're juggling a lot here, so we thank you for the update to bring us the good news about Christian Aid and the release of the hostages. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Likewise. Good to
Thank
see you again.
Peter Smith from Associated Press. In some ways, I appreciate the details have not come out, and they're protecting their own and making sure that, things are safe before there's any more deeper conversation, which there may not be. benefits. It helps you. So it's no surprise. I saw this study finds released a survey today that dogs are boosting owners' mental health during the pandemic, making people who are dog owners less likely to be depressed. The social interaction. The study finds reviewed more than 1,500 people, half of whom own dogs, and dog owners have reported having significantly more social support available to them compared to potential dog owners, and dog owners' depression scores were lower as well. I don't think that's any surprise.
No, it's not a surprise at all. My only question is why they didn't include cat owners.
Because you're not taking a walk with your cat,
That's a good point.
right? And there's something
good point.
Now, Christy, you're a dog owner. Do you take your dog for a walk?
I don't.
And you don't? Why? You just
I just don't. I play fetch with him.
He gets enough exercise running around.
I mean, he's small.
He's tiny.
He has little legs.
He does have
How little are his legs?
Oh, they're pretty little.
teeny.
Yeah.
So he's a miniature dachshund.
Yes.
So what if that's true? Like, little dogs don't need more, right, exercise because they're just, they're so little. So running around the house is enough. I would think that's fine.
I mean, he sleeps great at night
I'd be okay with that. I mean, have you ever seen, in your neighborhood, dog walkers?
all the time.
All
Dog
the time.
walk. I mean,
Well, I would think that'd be a
my
good go
house-
out to meet people.
I mean,
Don't you want to meet your neighbors?
I like my immediate neighbors.
she doesn't want to meet the other neighbors. Can you tell?
Yeah, it's okay.
Since I live on the corner, I know all the dog walkers.
You do.
Yeah, because in the
Or
summer,
do they pick up after themselves?
they do pick up. They always do.
Oh, wait,
They always
Christy-
do. But every dog loves our yard because it's the corner.
Right.
And so the dogs are always
Around,
saying hi.
and that's a
we
big
always-
corner you
It
occupy
is.
there.
It is. And so I'm happy to meet all the
Right.
dogs.
Now, Christy, you're saying people don't pick up in your neighborhood.
They don't.
Oh,
That's
come on,
terrible.
people.
Come on, you guys.
I'm like, that didn't
Seriously.
come out of my dog.
No, of course not. But then you got to take care of it anyway because there it is, right? Put up a little sign. Please clean up.
Listen, there's people in our neighborhood that have a sign up,
Oh, do they?
no pooping in our yard.
Don't they? Yeah, of course. I mean,
They'd be less angry if they had a dog themselves.
yeah.
That's what study finds. There's a woman in my neighborhood who has a long-haired dachshund.
That's what Milo is.
Oh, is he?
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
You brush him.
but he's miniature too.
He's a miniature long-haired dachshund, and he's a dapple. So that's why his color is
That's why he's
multiple.
so fancy.
why
Miniature
it's easier.
long-haired dapple. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on there with
It's an
Milo.
upcharge.
It wasn't upcharge.
I bet it was.
When she walks her dachshund,
Yeah.
we love it so much. We can't wait for her to come by because it looks like the dog is on wheels. There's
you can't see it.
cannot see the feet. All you see is there's a lot of hopping, a lot of vertical activity
Right.
because of the trotting that's going on.
Now, you would think with a dog like that, you're constantly having to clean the dog because it's dragging its hair.
Yeah, right.
Like my dog,
Sure.
I mean, he was so low to the ground that you'd go out and it was wet underneath him. It'd be like, an undercarriage of a car. You had to really
Sure.
spray that on and make sure he was okay.
Hose that off.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking about how much the dog benefits the person,
Oh.
which is what you're speaking of.
Yes.
But I was thinking back as you were talking to one of our conversations with Hugh Ross, who is a radio astronomer. But we weren't talking about radio astronomy at this point because he also has really interesting things to say about animals. And one of the things Hugh said is that the reverse is also true. That when it comes to what he calls soulish, soulish, soulish animals.
What does that mean?
Soulish animals are like the difference between a dog and a lizard. Okay, so they're animals that are considered, they have a awareness.
I see.
Okay, different
Right.
than fish or
Right.
whatever. That their connection with humans can also increase their abilities and capabilities.
They learn from their
and not only do
surroundings.
they learn, but their person. I want to be able to express what he was saying. I think he was saying that they can become more than they are because of their relationship with people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So our investment in animals is not just that they impact us, but that we impact them. And so it's like any other relationship that the more responsive it is, the more it benefits both parties. But we talk about that a lot at home because it's crazy to me how much our cats, we have 2 cats, how much they communicate with us now versus a year ago.
Just a year ago.
Just a year ago.
Why-
They
what-
have. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we were home so much. I'm guessing that's what it was during COVID, is we were with them so much. But they are much more communicative than they ever were in the first 4 years of their
What's
life.
that look like?
So they're like a lot of talking.
Chattier.
Way chatty, and they never chatted. They were around. They were friendly.
Yeah.
But they were never chatty. Now they're chatty, and like they love us. They deeply love us. Like I can't get over it. I mean, I sleep every night underneath one of my cats, and if I get up
Underneath one of your cats?
because he's right on me.
Holy
And if I
moly.
have to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, since I had
Like
a
it's an
baby, I
option.
haven't had to do that. I come back, he gets right back up. I mean, he's just always with me. And then during the day, it's the reverse. It's Charlotte, my girl cat, who's with me. Isn't that interesting?
I love it so much because I mean, obviously the two-way bond is very, very
Mm-hmm.
intense for anybody who loves a dog, a cat. I mean, okay, so we're for the first time without a dog in a long time. Our cat's gone as well. So my youngest boy, when he was 13, he wanted a bird. So now I have a bird, and it's fine. It's a green cheek conure. They're very pretty, very smart. I mean, I would not expect that I would have like emotions towards a bird.
Do you?
I do, very much so.
To Pip.
Oh yeah.
What? Tell me.
Well,
What's
like
that relationship like?
well now, like when the dog, all the animals are gone. So when I used to come home, anybody who's got a dog, you know what that's like. You're a cat. They know that you're entering into their space. You're back home again, and they're happy to see you. And they're as soon as I walk in the door, the bird's going beep beep, like he's talking to me as soon as I walk in. So me, of course, I'm responding as well.
Sure, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking to the bird. Well, I never would have done that before, right?
Did you do that when you had the dog and cat?
Well, he was playing second or third fiddle, right? I mean, my dog was the guy, then the cat, and now the bird. Now the bird's ascended to the only fiddle, so I have a deeper relationship with the bird because he's the sole survivor.
And so the bird is actually capable now of doing more things
Yes, he
than
is.
he was. Isn't that interesting?
Because I engage and pay much more attention to him. First thing in the morning, I come down, I take his little cover off, I give him fresh water, I give him food. He thanks me as I do this. He talks to me, and I go, okay, thanks, buddy. It's just weird. I don't know. Animals
I
are just
think
amazing.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, and it kind of changes your perspective on, going to the pound or going to a kennel or wherever, breeder, wherever you choose to buy your animal.
Yeah.
Right. The animal that you see there is not the animal that you're going to know in 3 years.
No.
It's going
Things change.
Things change, and that animal is going to grow and develop, and you're going to grow and develop along with them.
Coming out to work the other day, I was driving behind a guy who his license plate said something, and then he had a wrap on his car. He was an aquarium guy, that he would take care of your aquarium, And I thought, I've had turtles, which I loved. I love the turtles. The idea of having an aquarium is very appealing because they're so incredibly beautiful, but the upkeep, the maintenance, the cost, the expense of all that seems prohibitive for most
18
people.
years I did that.
18 years you had an aquarium in your house?
In my parents' house. And you know who they called to clean the aquarium?
You did. You were the pool girl.
Yes, I was. Every week of my life.
What? That was one of your jobs as the
Every
adult daughter to
week.
clean the aquarium?
Adult daughter. I was doing it when I was 5 years old.
Oh my goodness gracious. That's a lot of work.
Oh.
They are beautiful.
Do I have an aquarium now?
No, of course not, because you know what a lot of maintenance it is, right?
It is a lot. I mean, you can do
But
a
they're so
lousy.
beautiful.
You can do a
Of
lousy
course you
job.
can.
It looks terrible and it's bad for the fish.
Right.
But if you want to do a good job, it is serious work.
Of course. But when you go in and you see someone's aquarium, you think,
You should have seen the aquarium we
stunning,
had.
really.
It was beautiful.
Really?
Oh my gosh,
what
it was
happened?
beautiful.
One by one, they all die away.
Well, I mean, they're constantly dying, and you're constantly getting new ones, and you have to
see,
come up
that
with
one-
different populations. And
Really?
The
Constantly dying?
Oh yeah, but fish don't love you.
No. It's okay.
I
they
mean,
don't have
yeah,
to love
it's
me.
not like
I just wanna
it's
go,
not like
"Ooh."
the longer you know the discus fish, the
No,
more it's
no.
going to love you. It's not like a soulish animal.
But that's big money. People spend a lot of money on tropical fish.
I remember one night. Speaking of discus fish, we went, my dad and I, and we bought by we I mean he bought 2 discus fish. They were like $30 a piece.
Yeah.
Big time. It's a big investment for fish. And we came home, and we didn't know enough about it, but I left the light on in the room,
Yeah.
or I turned it off. I don't remember which it was. I did the wrong thing with the light, and so I came down the next morning and they had like anxiety attacks.
The fish did.
Yeah, and they had both died. I mean, we had them for about 9 hours.
Oh, so all the things you're supposed to know, right? It's very complex, isn't it? Oh, the poor things.
Yeah, I know.
How did you know it was anxiety? Because of the light somehow off or
Yeah,
on?
and we went back. We thought there was something wrong with the
The guy
fish,
said,
and the
"I
guy
told
was
you to
like,
turn the
"Oh, we
lights off."
told you about the lights," and we said, "What?"
We love our pets, that's for sure. Well, good afternoon to you. Thanks for coming along today for the Friday edition, the 5 o'clock hour. We're happy that you're along. We've got a lot to cover here for this next hour. Kath, good to see you as well. 4 minutes past the 5 o'clock hour. Very good.
Time for me to tell you, John.
Tell me what?
Your weekend has begun.
In earnest, it really has.
Thank you.
Indeed. I mean, it's the long holiday weekend as well, right? I think next week, a lot of people, in years past, pre-COVID, you would see traffic drop precipitously.
I had no traffic coming in here today.
Really?
I mean, no, wait, that's not true. That's not true. I had no traffic until I got to the Fort Pitt tunnels.
Always.
Then there was a lot of traffic.
Wouldn't matter, right,
But
yeah.
prior to that, my commute on 279, there was nobody there.
Right.
And did you see how many cars are in our parking lot?
About 6.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I drove in today and I thought, this is the fewest number of cars I have seen since COVID
Mm-hmm.
here.
I don't know.
I checked for your car to see maybe if, you'd
Oh, no, I'm there. Yeah.
bailed at some point.
Yeah, but it's funny you bring up, the Fort Pitt tunnels, because it wouldn't matter if there were 3 cars on the highway. The
You're
Fort
still
Pitt
backed
tunnels
up.
would still be backed up. It'd be Will Smith and I Am Legend. Nobody's on Earth, and the tunnels would still be backed up.
Right.
Seriously.
It's the road you and I are walking through, but we have to wait.
Exactly.
We're
right.
still waiting. It's okay. We're going to wait for the people in front of us because they just slowed down.
The heck?
Okay, but it's still better than Squirrel Hill. Don't you think that consistently Fort Pitt is better than
Well,
Squirrel Hill?
considering on August 31st my car was totaled inside the Squirrel Hill tunnels, I'd say anything's about
You mean
better
it
than
still
that.
isn't settled?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a whole other story. It's a big day in history, is it not?
It is. This day in history, Orville Wright made history's first sustained airplane flight, lasting 12 seconds and covering 120 feet near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Wilbur, the lesser-known brother. He's not really lesser-known.
Lesser.
Is he
known.
younger?
Wilbur? No, Wilbur's the older brother.
Oh, okay. Wilbur flew 852 feet later that day.
Right. They flipped a coin to determine who would go first. And
Did they? I never knew that.
Yep. And so, the Wright brothers story is to me, prototypical story of can-do American spirit. I mean, the more you know about the Wright brothers, the more you read about them. These guys were just unbelievable, self-taught in every conceivable way. I mean, they were born 4 years apart. Wilbur was born, I think, in the late 1860s. Orville not too far behind him. I think they were 3 or 4 years that separated them. And then, like a lot of guys, their father, I don't know what their father did for a living, but he had enough wealth, and I'm not sure, take that as you may, that he had a small library. And so his sons would read their father's books. And from that, they first became inquisitive about the world. Now, in their business ventures, they first opened a printing business. And then from that, they decided they were going to open up a new invention that was sweeping the country. They started to sell and manufacture bicycles.
Right.
And then from that bicycle shop in Dayton, Ohio, from 1892, they opened their first bicycle business. And on this date in 1903, 11 years later, they were the first humans credited with flying with motorized flight. 11 years. I mean, they went and they studied. They wrote to the Smithsonian Institute to ask for information about flight. The Smithsonian, all this stuff is documented because these guys were great archivists along with their sister. So every step of the way, they wrote things down. They also wrote letters to an inventor in France, and this long relationship that went on for more than 20 years was also sort of a guiding light for them. But through trial and error, they were the first guys to operate and assemble a wind tunnel, a small wind tunnel, where they learned the idea of dynamics. Mm-hmm. They also looked at birds. Of course, they would take birds apart, look at their wing structure, but truly all self-taught. They built these gliders out of thin pieces of wood and canvas, and they would go from Dayton, Ohio. They would drive wagons. This is before the automobile. They would take wagons down to the Outer Banks. Can you imagine how long it took them
that would take
to go from Dayton, Ohio to the Outer Banks, and to get to the Outer Banks, which would require a boat to go from the mainland to the Outer Banks, because the Outer Banks, of course, you've ever been there, had these gigantic, they still are there, the sand dunes with the right, and of course, again, more study about where was the right place to go and fly a glider. What would that look like? How would that work? They settled on the Outer Banks. Then, they had trial and error. They went down, I think, like initially in 1900. They had really bad, information, and through trial and error, I think it was Orville who wrote in his diary, man will never fly a powered vehicle in 1,000 years. But still, they continued on. Trial and error. 1901, I believe, they were the first guys to fly gliders in the United States. It had happened in other places in the world. But then finally, with enough courage and enough wherewithal, knowledge, Andy Masick from the Senator John Heinz History Center, he told us this years ago that they rode to Alcoa, the Wright brothers did, and Alcoa engineered a one-of-a-kind aluminum engine block because it had to be light to fit on top of that glider. Everything was, of course, to the ounce. But finally, on this date in 1903, with the help of local town people from the Outer Banks, the Wright brothers took off and made history. And then, of course, from that, it took a long time for the United States government to get the idea, this could be of use for us. How? In applications of military, whether, through war or through looking at the enemy or whatnot. That's really what sort of pushed the revolution forward. But these two men, Orville and Wilbur, we owe them so much. They're truly one of a kind.
Amazing. And you think in 100 and almost 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what? Remember what it was like to sit in an airplane when you're going to the Far East. Like, the one shot to get from here to Tokyo is I went from Chicago to Tokyo. It was 18 hours in an airplane. Now, you're 18 hours.
Yeah, where they were judging
in an
seconds.
Airplane. Right. That's a tremendous trajectory. Now, I'm sure that would not have happened if we wouldn't have had the world wars in there that would have pushed that technology along.
Sure.
But it is shocking to imagine that the Wright brothers could never, in their wildest dreams, have imagined.
No, I'm sure, when you see the mammoths, the military planes that carry, gigantic cars and all the troops and all that, or a 747 or the Concorde, the days of supersonic flight are coming back again, all those things together. It just goes to show you push the envelope, push it, and, things are revealed to you.
Astounding. And if you're looking for a really great Christmas gift, let me just recommend David McCullough's book on the Wright brothers.
Oh, that's a great book.
It is
very concise.
And it's not just concise to me, it's just readable. He's just such a wonderful writer. It's the kind of thing that you open up and you think, I can't wait to get further into this.
Yep.
It's just really, really a terrific book. Anyway. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, a woman who was ready to deliver a baby said, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the hospital. And her husband said, don't worry, we have a Tesla. It's next. Right home.
There's technology once again. Well, certainly there's been a lot said about self-driving vehicles, right? This is the coming age where your Tesla has autopilot, or the 18-wheeler next to you is going to be driverless. I mean, say what you will about that. It seems
I have a lot.
fraught with a lot of calamity. But there's a woman in Philadelphia who just a short while ago, she was getting her son ready for school around 8:30 in the morning, and her water broke. So she said to her husband, take our boy to school. I know I'm going to have the baby probably today here, but I think I'll be okay. So the husband, he took the boy to school, dropped the son off, came back and picked his wife up. They got in the car in a Tesla, and they started to drive to the hospital. Now, of course, even during the pandemic, of course, there is rush hour traffic in Philadelphia. There they are in rush hour traffic. The husband says, I'm hitting autopilot. The wife says, should I push or should I hold? And before he had time to answer, like he could control that, should I push or should I hold? All of a sudden, the baby starts to come. And while they're driving in rush hour traffic in a Tesla on autopilot, there comes the baby. And the baby was delivered in the front seat of that Tesla.
By the husband?
Yep. They got to the hospital. He calls ahead. They come out. They cut the umbilical cord, put the wife in a wheelchair and the baby. Off they go. The husband goes to park the Tesla. Goodness knows what that looks like inside the front seat. And there's a new baby
my God.
on the way.
Oh, my God.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No. Well, yeah, I can't imagine.
Oh.
I almost had my second child in the car, but it wasn't in a Tesla. It was in a Saturn.
Wouldn't matter. It's still your car.
Slightly less in the
At this point,
luxury scale.
what the heck?
Holy cow. Okay. So news comes from our friends at the Pew Research Center, John.
Yeah.
That in choosing a church, Americans have ranked 3 things that are most important to them when they decide where to go. Now, our producer, Christy, was doing the church shopping thing a few months ago. She's landed on a place.
Right.
You've been in your current house of worship for a long time.
Many, many years.
I have as well.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people who, COVID kind of gave them a break to say, okay, well, maybe I want to look into something different, and maybe
Yeah,
I
for
should
better
look
or
at
worse,
that.
right?
3 things. These are the 3 top things that Americans have ranked.
Okay.
83% said on choosing a church, the most important thing is good preaching.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
love that.
surprised. Yeah, so do I, but I'm kind of surprised that that's as high as it is. I thought that things like coffee bar
Oh, really?
or kids program or something would figure more highly.
Well, I like it because it means people are serious about
That's
wanting
what
to be
I thought
fed.
too. That's what I thought too.
Right?
It's 80
No, but I would say, what would, those people who are respondents, what would define for you good preaching?
Right.
Right.
That's not
Because, it could be any
indicated.
number of things, right?
74% yes. 79, that was 83%. 79% said it was a warm welcome by church leaders.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you walk in. Now, see, to me, I think for a lot of people, and maybe you back me up on this, Christy, the first time you visit a church, of course, there's always those people who have great gifts of hospitality, and they approach you. For a lot of people, they don't want to be approached. Right, they just want to be left to their own devices.
Right, let me just go
kinda
back and look
hang.
at things.
I like to be anonymous. Please don't. All of a sudden, I'm filling out cards and I'm in the coffee, and I'm like, I'm on a committee. I'm just showing up. I just wanted to hang out.
How did I
and
get
see.
roped into this?
Right, all of a sudden, I'm on the stewardship committee. I'm just visiting.
Christy, are you the kind of person that when you walked into the back of a new church for the first time, you were like, leave me
Put your eyes down.
Yeah, I did. When I went to this church, I kind of stood in the back, and one of the pastors sought me out because obviously
Very good.
I was new.
The pastor did his job.
Okay,
He noticed
so
you.
that was the warm welcome that 79% of the people are talking about. Was that important to you?
No,
Okay.
I really just wanted to hide
Okay.
Right. I'd
and
be
kind of go in and out. But
Okay, so but once then you received the warm welcome, then what happened? Were you escorted to someone else, and then was there or no?
no, we had a conversation the conversation was great, and we talked up until the couple minutes that we had, the little countdown.
Yeah.
And I just grabbed a seat, and they've reached out to me on multiple occasions, like anytime they see me. Now they just come and say,
Good
hey.
for them.
Okay, but that made a difference, though,
Yeah, it did.
didn't it? Because
It did.
you could have gone in anonymous and gone, okay, I like that, or I'm not coming back. But because someone said, hey, you had to say hey back. And so there was a little bit of a place mark.
Yeah.
All right, that was good.
Okay. All right. So you go along with number 2. What about number 3? 74% named a quote unquote appealing style of worship.
Now,
Now, that's
again,
fraught.
appealing style. I mean, one man's appealing style is another man's dumpster fire, right?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Was that important to you when you were looking?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted it to be very similar to my previous church.
Okay. All right. So would you go along also with good preaching number 1, 2 warm welcome, and 3 appealing style of worship?
Yeah.
Wow.
What if one of those was out of whack?
It depends on which one, I think.
What was the?
Like, if the preaching was watered down or not good, I would have.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yes.
That's rough, isn't it? I feel bad for churches and pastors. I mean, because
Especially small church pastors, because they have to kind of be everything to everybody. If you're talking about a big church with a big staff, you can distribute that, right? But when you're the only guy or the only woman and you're trying to make it happen, that's so much.
and to walk the fine line of being a place of hospitality, but not making it seem like it's an Amway party that you're walking
Right.
into, and you feel like
Right. You don't want to overreact to
Right.
somebody like pounce on them.
there's so many different skill sets that go into place there.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, and of course, every time we talk about this, the idea of, in quotes, church shopping, end quote, that is fraught with a lot of stuff as well. There's a lot of negative connotation for that, because I would imagine as much as it's necessary for people, especially in this weird COVID era, you're going, okay, I've changed a little bit. Maybe I'm going to find a different place to settle on. Man, it's just...
All right, let me ask you this. The church that you settled at, Christy, did you go to online worship first?
No,
No,
I didn't.
Okay. I wonder how many people are like trying it out online before they show up.
That would make sense. Now, how did you? Was it a recommendation from someone? Someone said you should try this out.
Yeah, somebody on staff here.
Okay. On the staff here.
Yeah. And
Who
sales
Who
department.
was supposed to meet you there and
It was
didn't show
supposed
up.
to meet me. Yep.
I'm not
right.
naming anybody.
I forgot.
Jen.
But it all worked out in the
worked out
end.
fine.
It did.
It all worked out in the
It
end.
did.
That's
Okay, and the conclusion of the survey from Pew is that what do you think the percent is of Americans say they go to church at least once or twice a month?
the percentage of people in America. Boy,
Once or twice a month?
I'll be optimistic and say 60%.
Christy?
I would say like 80.
80?
51.
Wow.
51. And
Just once or twice.
right, once or twice a month.
And that's a
Right,
low bar.
Right here, I feel like that is a low bar. So I want to be glad for whoever's there. So
Heck
this
yeah.
should not be taken as a criticism. But I'm just thinking about being a kid. I never missed church, and we just didn't.
What was a sin if I missed church? So I wasn't missing church.
So you weren't missing it,
No,
John.
so it's
right.
like I'm in great. I'm not sinning this week. I never missed church as a kid. Never.
Right, Christy, what was it like for you?
I don't think we missed church. We went to like a different service if we had a sport or something.
Yeah.
We made sure we were there.
Yeah. So that's just so much a part of your life that becomes
Consistency.
That's a routine.
Yeah.
So when I look at only half of the people say they're going once or twice a month, like to me that's not even a routine. Once or twice a month, it's not a routine. It's kind of like catch as catch can.
Heck, I go to the movies once or twice.
Right.
And, there's a lot of variables that determine what. You wake up and you just aren't feeling it.
And then you think all of the time that you're spending with the people that you work with in your cubicle, hopefully there aren't a lot of people working in your cubicle. But
Hey, I used to work here. Well, not anymore.
because you're in my
Let's
cubicle.
move on, please.
Oh. People have the adjoining.
I don't know who you
cubicle to
are,
your-
but,
like you end up spending all your time with the people you're working with and no time with your church family. if that's the way it is, right?
Well,
Because you're with your coworkers 5 days a week.
But if you're only seeing them once or twice a month, is it your church family?
Well,
Is
that's
it
a good- that's a good
just
point.
church acquaintance?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It can't be your family, right? It can't be that close of a thing if you're not there very often.
Okay, so Christy, so then how long have you been going to the new church?
Like 2 months.
And I mean, would you say it feels like you're going to stay?
Yeah, I've taken the next step.
Oh my gosh.
The next
She and the
step.
church are dating.
Kind of, yeah.
Really?
They're gonna do an Enneagram study to see if they're compatible.
I mean, I already know my number, so.
Do you? You do the Enneagram?
Yeah.
I have never done an Enneagram. Have you, Kat?
I have a little test on my phone. You can each take it, and we'll
Oh my
figure out your
gosh.
numbers.
Listen,
Does that help you? Does the Enneagram help you?
It just gives me
Self-knowledge.
Yes, and how to interact with the people around me. Like
But
my
it's-
best friend is a 1, so we figure out how to love each other better.
And what are you?
A 6.
A 6.
I don't know what.
What do you think John and I are?
I don't know.
I kind of think John might be a 4.
That's my
I've
favorite
always
number.
thought that. Christy, I've always thought he was 4-like.
I'm not 100% sure on you, Kath.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the
So you can be
unknown. I'm
multiple
the wild
numbers.
card.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
I don't know. Okay, that's cool. I mean, anyway, the idea of going to a new church, boy, that's an act of bravery, isn't it?
It is an act of
There's some
bravery.
courage there.
But think about
Good job.
what you can.
Thanks.
Well, think about what you can gain.
Oh,
From taking
change
that
your
first
life,
step.
change your eternal life.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, and I know it's a lot for families.
It is a lot.
especially,
It's
right?
so hard with
especially
little
during
kids.
this
It
era
is.
as well.
It is. I know it's
But
a lot.
man, I mean, you said this the other day. We were talking about something, and you were like, "Where would you be without your church family?"
Yeah.
And I think that's really true. If you invest in that, it's really true. I mean, I'm not always. I don't get along with everybody. You know,
Right.
I can be a bit of a curmudgeon. You know,
Okay, listen. You know what I was thinking about just this morning? I was flashing back to when my youngest daughter was turning 1. Okay, and she got RSV. Okay, which is a respiratory virus, which can be very serious in both adults and kids, but it afflicts kids more often. And so we end up in Children's Hospital for almost a week. So when you're in the hospital for a week with a 1-year-old, it's scary and it's really hard because the kid wants to walk around. She had an IV. Listen, the second, so that we went in on a Saturday night. On Sunday, we got an enormous snowstorm in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, everything was shut down. So my husband, my older daughter couldn't come in. So it was just me and her. So she is in a perilous state health-wise. I'm on my own. There's just nobody that can come into Oakland.
things are shut.
My 2 friends, Dwight and Janet,
They showed up.
they walked. They walked from church, which was on Fifth Avenue in Oakland.
Is that any?
They walked down to Children's Hospital, and they spent the afternoon with us, so
That
that
is so cool.
so that we wouldn't be alone. Now
Dwi-
that is what a church. I mean, I've never forgotten. So my daughter's 19 years old. So it was 18 years ago. I remember that like it was yesterday.
That is so cool. I mean, just Dwight. I mean, he just walked the width of the Grand Canyon.
Right. So 2.5 feet of snow was no big deal.
Right, and they left the area. They're way the heck out up north, and they come down. People who travel like an hour to church.
Isn't that great?
Right, we have
Don't you
any number of
appreciate
friends
that?
who do that, and that's just fabulous. I mean, really, it is. I mean, people are just amazing. Anyway, yeah, that's right. It's a great story. They were just loving on you. Who would do that?
Who would walk through 2 feet of driving snow?
Right, and then walk back
Yep, and just to be with us for a couple hours.
to help you, to
Yeah.
minister to you, to
Yeah.
love on you. That's super cool. Anyway,
All right, we need to take a break. When we come back, we've got some celebrity birthdays. Going to quiz John.
Okay.
It's also today's National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. Very eager to hear
Do you own
about why you guys aren't wearing them and why, actually, I'm not either.
I mean,
Also,
I don't want,
Pittsburgh soon having 6 parks next. of the recurring things we do on the ride home is we put John in uncomfortable positions.
Oh, fabulous.
Situations. We try to make him,
Oh, just like life. Mm-hmm. Heck.
And so we got some celebrity birthdays today.
Okay.
And so, John, I'll ask you what I normally ask you, which is I'll tell you whose birthday it is, and you tell me how old they are.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 2 today.
2.
Yes, 2
Okay.
men who are particularly skilled in their craft.
Oh. High achievement levels. Okay.
Eugene Levy. First off, star of Schitt's Creek,
Oh, boy.
one of my favorite shows of the last couple of years.
No, to me,
it's not for kids. Like for all.
Eugene Levy is the star of SCTV
He
first
is.
and foremost. I mean, that Schitt's Creek is fine. That's a fine show, I'm sure.
It's a great show.
But SCTV,
Is
the comedy show par excellence. I mean, SCTV's way up there, and SNL somewhere like down in there.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, and Eugene Levy,
He's top of the top. He is top of the top.
I mean, that cast in Eugene Levy. I mean,
How about all?
fabulous.
Okay, so SCTV. How about the Schmengi brothers?
Oh.
First off, Yosh and Stan.
Yep.
The dark side from Lutonia, the dark side of the Balkans.
I mean, there's so many characters. I mean, the core group of that,
John Candy, Martin
Joe
Short.
Flaherty, Martin Short, Andrea Martin.
Gilda Radner.
No, not Gilda. Gilda's
really?
She's
She-
Saturday Night Live, yeah.
Okay, so what, they met later?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, fabulous. I mean, just funny, incredible people. Yeah, but Eugene Levy. Okay, but then, of course, for, a new generation.
Well, not only that, we forgot the whole middle part of Eugene Levy, which is Best in Show,
Yep,
Spinal Tap, of course,
yep. Just,
Waiting for Guffman.
one of these guys who just continues.
What's the one about folk music?
Mighty
Wind. Right.
Okay, Eugene Levy.
Remember when he had
so-
2 left feet? Remember he's the guy with 2 left feet in Best in Show?
I mean, do yourself a favor, really. If
He
you,
had a
don't, if you
lazy
don't know
eye.
SCTV, you should log on YouTube at some point and type in Eugene Levy SCTV, and it'll
And just laugh.
It'll change your total perspective if you didn't know him from that era. Okay, so I'm watching Eugene Levy as a kid in high school straddling into college on SCTV, 11:30 on Saturday nights. Actually, it started at 11 o'clock on Saturday nights. It was Saturday Night Live. And I always thought he was. I would say Eugene Levy is probably 74 is a safe bet for me.
75.
Hey,
75.
all right, good.
All right. And another man relatively skilled in his craft, for sure, Pope Francis.
Oh, the Pope's birthday today. No, okay, I have a really good hold on this because I was just reading about an article. I believe the Pope, with almost certainty, is 85.
You are correct.
Bingo.
You are correct. So there we have Pope Francis, Eugene Levy.
Uh-huh.
Different people who have
Different craft.
certainly made an impact in their certain areas.
Different
Also,
level,
before we break, it's National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day,
Mm.
and none of us have done that.
I don't have one. Do
I
you?
know. No, I don't.
Diane had one on the other day for the company Christmas party,
Did she?
and she's the sweetest thing, and
Best
that-
thing ever.
And that was an ugly sweater.
It
and
was
I did
bad.
tell her that.
Christy, what do you think? Is that something you've decided specifically not to do?
I feel like it's,
A little.
Passe?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've
done that.
We've done that.
it.
What if you showed up at your new church with an ugly sweater on?
I probably wouldn't get looks. I feel like it's normal. This is what people do.
Right.
I mean, on Halloween, people were dressed up.
You think?
For real, on Halloween at my church, there was people dressed up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
How
I
big
could
of a
have worn-
church?
It's a very small church, and it's people my age.
Okay.
I could have worn my sloth.
You could
outfit,
have,
and I would have been happy,
you would have fit right in.
and people would have been happy to see me.
Wait, so-
Except
so
John.
Exactly. A sermon was being preached while people were dressed up as like.
I mean, nobody was dressed up like a sloth, but
Which is sad.
Right. I mean, for inventiveness,
It
there
really
was
could have
high
been
marks
so
for
much
that.
better.
Anyway,
All right.
wait. So the sermon was being preached, and the pastor is from the pulpit. He's looking out on, like Dorothy from Wizard
We're
of Oz.
talking about Halloween. It's National Ugly Sweater Day, Christmas
Okay.
Sweater Day.
But still, I mean, that's a big stretch.
He's obsessing, Christy. Put
just-
on your sweater and enjoy the rest of National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day.
It's been another week. That means it's time for John and Kathy's Week in Review. What was everyone talking about this week?
Omicron, the whiplash of the surge, and all that jazz, right? Here it is. Again, we're shutting down. What?
Kenny Pickett not playing in the Peach Bowl.
I read that. I can understand it.
Of course, I get it, but it still stinks.
That's big time. Yeah. I agree.
Christy and I were talking about it last night on text, and I said, the fact that now it's billed as, well, this is great. We're going to be able to see what next year's team looks like. I'm like, this is the bowl game.
Yeah.
This isn't like the preseason game in like August 2nd.
But you get it. I mean, I understand.
I know,
if he gets
but
hurt,
it's just,
then all of a sudden,
it
he's
just
out
makes
millions of
me-
dollars.
It's just like, okay, so we're going to watch.
You were the one who changed my attitude towards this last week. And now this week you're complaining.
Okay, allow me
Right?
to be who I am. And sometimes I feel that way, and other times I feel the
All
other.
right,
What
thank you. Chrissy,
Enneagram
you
part
wanna
does that
log in
make
here?
me?
I just, why even play the bowl games? Why even have them? Nobody plays.
Right.
Have a 16 team or 12 team college playoff.
And
Bingo.
be done with it.
Yep.
That's some wisdom there from our producer.
What was a conversation that made you think?
I mean, we talked with Scott and Lauren for 4 hours about
Save the children.
Save the Children and Preborn and Plumpy Nut. And I mean, it takes you out of yourself. I love this. I mean,
This was yesterday's show. This was no, it was
Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday show this week.
When we do these campaigns, and I know we do. When we talk about it, I mean, I love to talk about it in some way because it opens my eyes to.
You love to talk about what?
About people in third world countries, and from the experts who've been there and seen it and done that, I get a deeper appreciation of how I live and how other people in the world live, and I always walk away with just great gratitude for where we are here in the United States of America and the blessings that we've been given. And it also, it breaks my heart, of course, but I also think God's put them there, and they're making it work or not. However, they're making it work or not. I just love it. I'd love to hear about people's struggles and stories in the name of Jesus, and the listeners, and they're hearing that as well, and they respond in kind, and it's just fabulous to me. It really is.
We talked on Monday's show at 5:10 to Ken Gormley, who's the president of Duquesne University. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Ken grew up in your neighborhood, or you grew up in Ken's neighborhood?
Oh, wait a second.
I'm just saying. He's got a new novel out, and so we talked about we talked about Pittsburgh and how unique it is. We talked about
The Switch.
We talked about how different it is to read nonfiction books and read fiction books, and why he's investing himself in fiction now.
30 years to write this book.
Right.
The Heiress of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was really fun conversation.
Yep.
So I really appreciated that.
What did you eat?
What did we eat?
Okay, so in the middle
Are
of
you
the week,
kidding me?
As we're talking, Kath and I went out to dinner with some friends, and we went to
Alla Familia in Allentown.
Goodness, I've never been there.
Never been there either.
I had something called seafood diavolo, which was
Enormous.
this big bowl of spicy plum tomato sauce, and in it was lobster, scallops, shrimps, mussels, clams, and pancetta. Oh my!
Oh, and you
God.
had sausage in there too.
Yeah. And I also had the holy oil and the homemade bread.
Oh my gosh.
And a beautiful salad.
Don't forget the pasta course.
Oh, I mean, what a meal. What a great night.
I would say that's up. I would put that in the top 2 restaurants in Pittsburgh.
It was very, very
It
satisfying.
was outstanding.
The company was great. The conversation was a lot of fun.
If you're looking for a place to go with people you really enjoy, this is the place, because we were there for 4 hours.
We hung out. We set
we
up
got there
shop.
at 6:45, and we left at 10:45.
Yeah, close to 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so
Nobody batted an eye.
nobody rushes you.
No.
It's a multi-course meal. It's beautifully served.
It was so well done.
It's a fun atmosphere. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. Thank you to Mona, our wonderful waitress.
She was fabulous.
And all the people at Alla Familia.
What did you watch?
I finished Only Murders in the Building, starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, who we just talked about on SCTV, and Selena Gomez. And I love it so much. It is a delight. It is it's fun. It's charming. It's beautiful anyway, I started watching it again last night with my daughter.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
and my husband, because he watched one episode and he was like, I have to see this.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
said, of course.
Is that Hulu?
Hulu.
Only Murders in the Building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't been watching a whole lot this week. It's been a busy week. However, from the urging of Kath and Darren here at the studio, I did partake of one episode of The Sinner. And then as soon as that was over, I turned on the Hallmark Channel. I did.
Because that's the only appropriate response.
I mean, holy smokes.
It's a rough show, you guys.
It's
a rough show.
Kath and Darren are going, oh, I'm going to tell you this is fabulous. I'm like,
Okay, now listen.
I'm like, okay.
It is a beautiful show in
What?
small regard. But listen, it is horribly, terribly violent. And I fast forwarded through a lot of truly awful scenes.
Oh.
Just need you to know. It is to say it's not for kids does not sum up what's
I
happened.
don't know.
It's not for most adults.
Wait, when they finished season one, it left you with a sense of accomplishment or
my husband
joy
and I,
or
my husband and I, you know my husband.
Yeah.
We both cried.
what?
Because it was so beautifully done at the end. But I'm telling you, I'm not recommending it. I want to tell you that it was really amazing and really terrible.
I'm in the hallways here and
Really
I'm hearing all this
terrible.
conversation. I go, okay, I guess I got to tune in and check it out. Then I, like 5 minutes in, I was like, maybe not. I'll continue.
Remember
on.
when you were a dad with little kids and you would ride the fast forward button on your cable remote?
That thumb was like right there.
So that you could go over like the GoDaddy commercials
Right.
or whatever was happening at the time?
That's it.
That's what you have to do.
All right.
That's what I think you have to do.
What are you reading?
I'm still reading the same things that I've been reading for the last couple of weeks.
Well, I will join you as well because this is Advent season,
Yeah.
and I've been reading my Fleming Rutledge book,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. So it's my.
What's the name of that? I hate to ask
I'm sorry,
you.
I forget
about,
to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
it's Fleming Rutledge on Advent. That's
Right.
all. That's all I have.
And I'm still reading Gilead by Marilyn Robinson.
Oh yeah, of course.
And which is much more readable. I think I said that last week than I was led to believe.
See,
It's not a super. It's wonderful. It's
right.
it's thick. It's a lot to contemplate,
Yeah,
but it's not
a difficult read.
No.
All right.
And The Irrational Season, which are kind of diary entries from Madeleine L'Engle, and there are all different seasons. And so I've been reading the 2 Advent ones that are really wonderful.
Excellent.
What hacked you off?
Okay. So yesterday I'm reading about the TikTok school threats. And we've reached the point now where a bunch of coconut kids are running social media and saying, I'm bringing, my gun to school and social media war. Yeah, everybody nods their head. And I don't know. I mean, I read, nothing too severe happened today, but just the threat of that hanging over your head.
As a school administrator, can you imagine that?
No, it's horrible. That really just hacks me. That here's social media engaged in this, and all of a sudden, I'm leaving my school shut down across the country. Parents chose not to send their kids to school because of that threat. Because of TikTok? Other people are dancing on TikTok. Now we're that's just craziness.
I'm just hacked off at. I wish I know that we are still in the COVID era, and I recognize that this is has been a learning curve for everybody, including clinicians, including people who are in charge of public policy in all over the world. But let me just we need better messaging on the Omicron variant and on vaccines. We just need better information. I'm so sick of seeing, this story from Toronto about how they're going to play the hockey game tonight, Christy, with no fans. You're like, what are we doing? Is that really necessary? All I've read
doesn't make
about
sense.
Omicron is that it's more transmissible but not as serious. So then why are we doing hockey games with no fans? Like
Well, you have to show your vax in Philadelphia to go have a meal, right?
yeah, but you can't even go to a hockey game?
there we go.
Anyway, it just drives me crazy.
Okay.
It's just we need better messaging on vaccines.
What was the best news you heard this week?
Okay, this is a backward thing, but this is important for me. A judge yesterday overturned Purdue Pharma's opioid settlement, which will increase the odds that someday in the near future, the robber barons, those heinous people, and I'm sorry to say that to signal this people out, but the Sackler family must go to a courtroom and they must face justice. They must, because people died because of their greed of flooding America with opioids, and innocent people died because of that. So for a judge to jump in there and say, wait a second, Sackler family, that was good news.
Best news is I saw some video this morning from The Music Man, which is going to debut on Broadway. Previews begin December 20th, which is Monday. It stars Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster, and I, for one, cannot wait.
Fabulous.
And that's John and Kathy's Week in Review.
Last Friday, we made some picks that we haven't talked about in the interim because we had so much going on this week on the ride home. So let's go over last week's picks before we hear our magical music.
Okay.
Last week, we picked the Penza Caps. And that was Friday night.
Yep.
The Army-Navy game, which was Saturday. And, of course, we picked our favorites for the Heisman Trophy, which was given out at 8 p.m. last Saturday evening. So, Penza Caps, I'm happy to tell you that we all picked the Pens as victors, and they were.
Fabulous.
Pens look awesome
Pens
right
look
now.
great. Is this a 5-game win streak or
yes.
6? 5.
Oh, no. 5. Yeah.
Five.
After tonight, it'll be 6. 4-2 was the final score. So we each get a point for that. Christy gets 2 points because she was closest.
Oh, please.
Stop it with your cheering in the other room. Stop it with your cheering. Though it was not in overtime. So pipe down.
4-2.
The Army-Navy game, I can't figure out how this happened because Army was 8-3. Navy was 3-8. And I thought that John was an idiot for picking Navy, and they went and won.
Bingo.
So, Christy, you and I got zip on that.
Dig it.
And John, you got 1 point. But actually,
I should get 2.
I did give you 2
You should,
because
thank you.
you predicted it would be 17-14 and it was 17-13. And I
Nice.
thought, you know what? That's pretty
think
impressive. I
so.
have to give that to you.
I get the win. Oh, that's nice.
And then we all picked Bryce Young to win the Heisman Trophy from
Okay.
Alabama, and he did.
So how are we doing?
Okay, so up to this point, we have still in the lead is Christy. She's got 12 and a half, 14 and a half, 15 and a half points. John, you're in second place with 12 and a half, 13 and a half.
She's 2 points ahead of me.
Yeah. And I'm still pulling up the rear, but I'm only down by 2.
All right.
So it's
But-
still close.
but
It's
4
still close,
points
but
separate you from first place.
It's still embarrassing to me at this point. It
That's
just
okay.
is. But let's move on. Can you play the music, my friend? Thank you. Tonight at 7 p.m., we have the Sabres at Pens. I would like to know where you're going on this. Christy, since you're in the lead, you tell us first.
5-2 Pens.
Okay, 5-2.
Oh, I was going to say 5-2.
Okay.
I really was. I'll
Well,
do
you can do.
Pens.
You can't do 5-2. You got to pick something.
I'll
else.
do 4-2 Pens.
Okay. Okay, I
You?
picked a 3-1 Pens,
Okay,
actually.
very nice.
Okay, and the other one we have is Titans at Steelers, Sunday at 1 p.m. So if you can see through your tears, tell me who's going to win this. John, you go first.
Titans win.
Yeah.
17-6.
Okay. Christy.
No, Titans play down to their opponents. 26-20
Thank you.
Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh.
26-20 Steelers. I'm actually going 31-17 Steelers,
What?
which means I'm crazy, but you know what? Hope springs eternal.
Have a great weekend.